Hi, Sagittarius Sun and Rising. Welcome to your May 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. All right, so I'm going to begin starting with a transit at the end of April because it's the last day of April. And this is Venus going back into Aries. So way back in March, actually the 1st of March, Venus was at 10 degrees of Aries when it retrograded. And for Sagittarius, this is the 5th house, which deals with love and creativity. As a matter of fact, some of you may have had to deal with an ex. I wouldn't say like the level of maybe a committed relationship, but somebody that you cared for, or even that you had a fling with coming back into the picture. And so now Venus went into Pisces and went into the 4th house. And that, let's say somebody's married and they have this emotional affair, they're going to like think, okay, what do I stand to lose here? I have this family. Do I really want to throw it all away for that? And so that might have been, now I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but for some people that might have been what you were grappling with. So on the 30th, Venus goes back into Aries, and that means that it's about to come out of its shadow period, meaning that it's going back to that 10 degrees. And that's going to take a couple of weeks until the 15th of May for it to happen. But speaking of shadow periods that are ending, Jupiter, our ruler, yes, I am a Sag myself, is coming out of its shadow period, from what I understand, around the 2nd of May, because I was tracking Jupiter. I think Jupiter retrograded at 21 degrees of Gemini. And so I think it will be around May 2nd that it goes back to that degree. And also Mars in Leo, it goes to that 6th degree mark on May 2nd. So May 2nd is a big date as well. But if you really want to look at it with personal planets, we would say May 15th with Venus. And this can be good because now you have a double blessing of Venus in your 5th house. So romance could be on the table. And if you meet somebody new around this time, because you have just had the new moon in Taurus, that was at, I think, April 27th. So that might be somebody new that you're talking to. A new creative project may be born. So those kinds of things. Now, on the 4th, Pluto goes retrograde at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So yes, we have all these planets. I think every planet will be direct at this time, except for Pluto now. Now Pluto goes retrograde, but Pluto's an outer planet. It spends a lot of the year retrograde, 5 months. So it is not considered, that important in terms of like the day-to-day kind of things. It's really, its impact is really over years rather than weeks. So the fact that Pluto is going retrograde, though, in a certain house for Sag, and I think that is very significant, and certainly astrologers interpret these transits through various houses as being significant, but it just isn't something that is going to like immediately be a thing. It's going to be over time. You're going to see this affect you. For Sag, this is the 3rd house. So Pluto, this is as high as Pluto is getting in 2025, to 3 degrees of Aquarius. And it's not going to go back into Capricorn, but it will stay in that third house. And it deals with your mind. It deals with the kind of things, the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your thinking, the quality of your communication. So when Pluto is in the third house, it can make Sages less inclined to ramble on, I think. I think that's one of the big things. As somebody with Mercury and Sagittarius, that's definitely something that we may kind of share with Gemini, our opposite sign, is a tendency to ramble, or even to be attracted to communication that really doesn't ultimately serve us and is not profound enough. This is going to make Sag as a deep thinker, even though I think a lot of us are. And some of you already have, if your sun is in Sag, you have Mercury in Scorpio, and you may already have that kind of deep thinking mind. This can make you more questioning. When it's retrograding, you're going to be more turning this internally. So it's really about looking at your own motivations, being your own therapist, and rather than looking at the outer world for, okay, this person's doing this and that person's doing that. With Pluto, there can always be this issue of power that comes up, or abuse of power. And it's easy to look at how we have been, power has been abused towards us. But sometimes we have to look at how we give away our power, or how we try to, assert ourselves and gain power in the outer world that is overbearing, has nothing to do with us. And thus we do give away our power in those circumstances. The person who is being tyrannical, they're giving away their power, or they're showing that they don't really they feel powerless inside because they need to control other people. The parent who abuses the power that they have as a parent towards their child. Yeah, you have responsibility for your child, but that doesn't mean that you have to try to impose your will on your child. That's a distinction, and that happens when the person feels powerless and they're looking, or the boss who does that. So these are going to be deep things to think about in your own life in the next few months. And on the 5th, and I think too, if you're a writer, that this can be good for really digging deep within yourself to find that, I would say, that creative inspiration that is coming from your own emotions. Sometimes that can be the most powerful because you really lived it and you really felt it. On the 10th, Mercury goes into Taurus, and this is the 6th house for Sagittarius. You just had a new moon there. Like I said, in the last week of April, Mercury here can be thinking about health regimens, maybe reading up on health books. It can be talking to potential employers. It could be thinking about your daily routine and like what you want to do with it. If you want to change it to become more productive or to rest more, maybe it's the exact opposite. You need to have more downtime. On the 12th or 13th, depending where you are in the world, the full moon is going to be at 22 degrees of Scorpio. Well, for Sag, that's the 12th house. And that is a house of letting go of, that's, Pisces domain. So a full moon in the 12th house can be letting go of bad habits, becoming aware of self-destructive tendencies, or this is the house of self-undoing. What kind of patterns do you have that kind of work against you? Because these things can come to awareness even at this time, and then you're able to let go and say, wow, I really need to stop doing this because it's not getting me what I want. And it just has that feel of like, yeah, I don't want to do this, because the 12th house is the last house. And of course, there's a continuous cycle. So then you start at the first house again, and then there's a full moon in Sag in June, right? It's probably the strawberry moon in June. I don't know what the one in Scorpio is. But the point is that this is in your particular chart, this is the 12th house. So this is the ending of a cycle. So it's kind of like this culmination of endings. This is the ultimate ending. And, being mindful of that, honoring that can yield some great results, because you may decide to let go of something and it benefits you many times over by you're willing to sacrifice something for something better. This is the house of the dream state, so be aware that you may have very vivid dreams, psychic dreams, dreams that are prophetic, that give you some insight of what's to come in your life. On the 20th, the sun goes into opposite sign and house Gemini, into that 7th house of committed partnership. And this is also the house of public relations. So this may be a good time. And, this is the second half of the month. So this is when all systems are go. And this would be a wonderful time to start promoting yourself if you have some kind of thing to promote. On the 24th, Saturn goes into Aries, into that 5th house. Great for discipline if you are endeavoring to do something artistically, because there's so many talented artists, and I'm not just talking about painters, I'm talking about all disciplines. It's funny that they call them disciplines, because that's what Saturn is. It's all about discipline. But there are people who are very creative, and some cannot create I don't like the word routine, but they can't create this ability to do things consistently artistically. So they may be sporadic. And those types of people, they might get inspired, and then they create something, and then they lie fallow for a long period of time. Well, if you want to be, it's not even about being prolific, it's just about being consistent output, so that you can either finish a project or, have enough going that you might even do that for a living. But even if you're not doing it for a living, even if it's a hobby, if you're on and off again, you won't be able to reap the benefits of your hobby. So it's all about discipline, and consistency is discipline. So I think Saturn going into the 5th house is really great for the people who are looking for love. This can be great because you may have a more sober, serious attitude towards love rather than being flippant about it. Not to say that Sagittarius always would be, but Sagittarius love freedom, so it's not like you're always like, okay, I want to, like a Cancer person, like I want to settle down, Sagittarius might be like, oh my gosh, I love this person, I don't know if I can, settle down, but you can. But you need a person who is going to give you that freedom, and that's not always easy to find. So when Saturn is in the 5th house, you may find that you don't have as many potential partners or love interests as you might have in the recent past, but it's like quality over quantity. Although I do have to say, there was a solar eclipse in this house back at the end of March, so it is possible that maybe you would have, ample opportunity, but you're going to be more serious about it. Maybe in the past you were satisfied with settling for flings, and now you're like, no, I want the real deal. On the 25th, Mercury goes into that 7th house. And, the 7th house can be like negotiations and, it's legal affairs too. So there could be something going on that you have to go back and forth with someone. And it might have a legal flavor to it. So keep that in mind. On the 26th or 27th, there's a new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini in that house. Oh, and also if you are getting married, and Jupiter, our ruler is in that 7th house too. And some Sagittarius may be getting married, or, I would say specifically getting married, because Mercury can be the license, or it's like paperwork and legal matters, and maybe calling a caterer, the communication with things connected to this union that you might be engaged in, calling the reception hall. And the new moon on the 26th or the 27th is further indication that things are changing. There's new opportunities in this area. For single people, you may meet somebody and they are potential relationship material. Okay, Sag, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I have package deals and individual readings on the transits. One thing to note is that this is a general reading, so the transits may happen at a different time for you. And if you're listening for this as your sun sign, then your rising sign is what determines your natal chart, and that is like a whole other, I don't want to say can of worms, but a whole other world for you. And what is happening there is really what is used for predictive astrology a lot of the times. So you can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Bye.